things.
Okay. So all right. So if you type nano, it should give you some empty space to type stuff in, and you can just type science, or you can type anything. I love science. And the reason that I want you to type something about science is that there's some exercises down the line with the word science in it. So whatever you type, if you hate science, you can type I hate science, but I want the word science to be inside this file. And when you're done typing, you do Control X to exit. And here it gives you some tips on what you can type to do what. For example, if you want help, you type Control G. So the Control key on your keyboard and G, or Control key and X together will exit from this. So we're going to try to exit, Control X, and it says save modified buffer. Answering no will destroy changes. So, and if you want to save, then you just type Y, one letter Y, and then it says file name to write. Basically, it says, give me a file name to save this as. Whatever you type here will be the name of the file that you're going to see. So I'll just call it science.txt. In this case, the suffix doesn't matter, the extension doesn't matter. It can be anything, but I type .txt so that I'm reminded in the future that this is a text file. Okay, if I hit enter, it comes out. Looks like nothing happened. But if I type ls, there's gonna be a file that says science.txt. Did it work for everybody? Great. If you now type more science.txt, it should show you what's inside that file. And in this case, I wrote, I love science, and that's what it's showing. Okay, back to the instruction. We can now copy. If you want to duplicate this file, it's very easy. You can just type copy science.txt and science2.txt. If you type that, you're gonna get another file called science2.
If you spelled out copy, what would happen?
Probably nothing.
Okay.
I've never done it, but probably wouldn't. It says command not found.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah. They're trying to, when they design computer languages, they try to be as short as possible, save time. Okay. So if I type ls now, I have two files. One is called science2.txt and one is called science.txt. And here, for some of the exercises, it wants us to have another folder called backups. It doesn't explicitly say it, or maybe I missed it, but there might be a problem with the instruction. So, but keep in mind that it requires a folder called backups. And you can just make it inside Unix stuff by mkdir backups. If you type that, you'll have a folder called backups. Okay. Now, if I type ls, I should see that backups folder down here. And by now you have noticed that the blue color on my screen means a folder, and the white text is the name of the files. Okay. So next command is move, but we don't type it like that. We type just mv. My goal is to move one of these files into backups. You're gonna soon realize that when you type commands, you make a lot of typos and you get errors. To avoid that, you could copy and paste. Just copy and then paste. That's the easiest thing to do. Another easy thing to do is to type just the first letter or two letters and then hit the tab key, and it will autocomplete for you. So this is the ancestor of autocomplete that you have on your iPhones or Android phones. So mv, I want to move my science2.txt into backups. So I'm going to type science2.txt backups. So if I type that right now, it's going to take my science2.txt file and move it into backups. So if I type ls again, I don't see science2.txt because it's inside backups. But if I type ls backups, this is going to show the content of the backups directory, which has one file named science2. Okay. When you type ls and nothing after, it just gives you the list of what there is in your current directory. But if you type ls and the name of a directory, it will give you a list of what's inside that directory that you wrote backups. Any questions so far? All good? Thumbs up? Are you able to follow along and type all of these? Cool. Next is using mv command to rename a file. So here we have a file named science.txt. If I want to rename it, I can just type mv science.txt, and I have to give it a new name. I'll call this 3, science3.txt. So move science.txt to science3.txt. In other words, instead of moving, this is just renaming that file. So if I do that now and hit enter, if I type ls, I have a new file called science3.txt, but I don't have science anymore. That's gone. Okay. Another quick thing that I want to mention is that on any keyboard, if you type the upper arrow, if you press the arrow key, up arrow, it will bring back your previous codes. So sometimes you're going to write really long pieces of code. And if you want to quickly bring it back without having to type that again, you can just press the up arrow. If you keep doing that, it will remind you all of the codes that you have been writing. See? And then you can use the down arrow to move through the code in reverse. And the other very useful command is called history. If you type that, it will show you all the commands that you have been writing. So I've been writing a lot of commands in the last couple of days. I think there's a limit of how much it saves, but it gives you probably at least maybe 100 commands that you have been writing. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to type ls again. We have a file named science3. I want to copy it into another file called science.txt. So I just made another file because I originally renamed it. So we have two files, science.txt and science3.txt. Now we want to learn how to remove things or delete things. Please note that Unix doesn't have a trash bin. So if you delete something, it's deleted forever. So be very careful when you delete things. And I'll tell you so many stories of people accidentally deleting like 6 months of work by just typing one command accidentally, and then they have to redo the whole thing. Don't let that happen to you. Also, always make backups of everything you have. So let's learn how to delete stuff because we're gonna need it. If I want to delete this science3.txt, I'll just type rm, which is short for delete or remove, and science3.txt. And if I type this out, if I hit enter, that file will be gone forever. When I check with ls, I don't see it anymore. Okay. So this is a good place to pause and see if anyone has any questions. We started a little late, but that's okay for the first session. We'll keep doing this. Yes, Becca.
I think this builds on one of the questions earlier. So in the normal interface that we have access to, what does this look like? And I guess I'm asking just in terms of, do we now have random files called science on our computer? And where are they?
Okay, good question. Are you using a Mac or a PC?
Mac.
Okay, so the easiest way to find, actually we just learned it today, pwd, print working directory, and this is showing where for me it's different because I'm using my server. I'm using a server, but I can actually start one terminal. Let me quit this, terminate. So if I'm not connected to server and I type pwd, it's showing users HR355, and I think we have to go to Finder and search for that, for the user one. I recently got a Mac, so I'm although not fully sure where things are. Maybe someone can help me. On Windows, let's see. On Windows, it's a lot easier if you type like click there. It shows you the address of where you are, and you can just copy paste the address that you find there into here. But on Mac, it's a little I can actually look it up. How to see folder access. Go
So
home.
I did find it actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in your Finder, you just don't have
Yeah,
the favorites, but for me, it would be home
mm,
and my name,
great.
my
Yeah,
username, and then the file shows up just alongside everything else I have.
great. That's great. I actually just learned something I didn't know. That's great. So we, like Becca said, your home directory is under here. If you go to Go and uh, click on Home, it will show you where we have been creating stuff. For example, coding. If I do that, it pops up here. If I go inside coding and make another one called backups, it's gonna be here, backups. And if I make a file, science, and type yes, I type it here, it pops up here. So it's a good way to actually visualize what you're doing, because then you can actually click on things and see the file. You can open it if you wanted to, and pops up on your computer. The reason I don't focus too much on the graphic user interface is that we shouldn't get used to it. In real life, you're gonna have to use servers, and many of them don't have graphic user interface. So uh, you're gonna have to extensively rely on the command interface. Any other questions? I could
Uh,
keep going a little bit because we started late, but if people need to leave, we can stop and then meet next week. Sorry, someone had a question.
yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, when you given a command, can you redo it?
Yes. So upper arrow, if you type, see, if I type or press the upper arrow key on my keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
this one, let me see. No, it's not gonna work.
I know what you
This
mean.
this one here for those. Why is it not? It's blurring my keyboard. It's because I'm using the blurring function on Zoom. Anyways, upper arrow brings back things. Um, so if I type that, or if you press it multiple times, it will show you all the codes that you have been writing.
Mm-hmm.
In the future, I'll show you how you can save all of your uh, commands into a file so that you can remember, and they'll be all saved there so you wouldn't lose them. It's called scripting. So we will learn how to make a script. So should I continue or should we stop here? Does anyone need to go? No, all good. Okay, I can continue for another 15 minutes to make up for the late start. Okay. So we learned how to delete stuff. Next, we need to learn how to clear our screen. As you type things, you're going to realize that it gets very busy. I don't mind it because my mind functions in chaos. But for people who want to keep everything organized, you can just type clear and it will basically empty your screen. Okay, and that's what that does. And cat is the next command that we're going to use. It has two functions. One is that you can use cat to see what's inside a file, and you can use cat to combine two files together. And the second file will be added to the bottom of the first file. So to do this, okay. So I'm gonna create that nano science file again. And I'm gonna save it. Now I have a file named science.txt. If I copy it, I can make another file called science2. Now I have two files. And to see what's inside each of these, I can just type more science.txt. It shows that my one line and it says that it ends right there. And if I type more science.2.txt, again, it shows the same. So to exit out of the file, what you need to do is Control C. Control key and the C letter together. If you press Control and C together, it will exit. And that's a very useful shortcut, because a lot of times you're gonna run a program and then decide that, oh, you made a mistake, or you don't want to run that program and you want to terminate the running program, then you just type Control C and it will stop whatever that was doing. So it's used to exit out of files. It's also used to stop a function that is running right now. Okay, so we want to, now we have two files, science and science2. If for some reason we decide to combine these two, we can type cat science. You can copy paste if you want, or you can just type the first two letters and hit enter. If I do that, now it's showing I love science twice. So one line from this, one line from that. That's basically what there is in each file. So the resulting file is gonna have the content of both files. Right now, it just showed me what it did, but it didn't save the file. So if I want to save it, I have to use the greater than sign. This greater than sign in Unix is very important. It's used for writing the output from each command into a file. So this command concatenates the content of these two files, but it doesn't save it. To save them, we can use the greater than sign, which you can think of it as an arrow going this way. So it says that all the content from these two files goes this way inside another file that you can name whatever you want. I'm going to call it combine.txt or combined science. So if I type this now, I'm going to have a new file. If I type ls, the new file is called combine science.txt. And if I do more combine.txt, that shows what's inside that file. And then I'm going to press Control and C together to get out of that file. Okay. So I taught you how to use more. The other option for it is less. They both are used to see the content of a file. In real life, chances are that you're going to work with files that are huge, maybe 1,000 lines, 1,000,000 lines, or 1,000,000,000 lines in some cases. And if you try to open a file like that, then it's going to just spit out a lot of letters on your screen. And it's going to just keep going forever. To avoid that and to see one page at a time, you use either more or less. They both do the same thing, but they're a little different. So you can decide on which one is your favorite, and you always use that. I use more, but less is also useful. You can type less combine science.txt, and then it shows you the content of that, and it gives you a thing here that says that's the end of your file. To come out of this, you have to type :Q again. If you type colon, then the Q letters, it will come out of it. That's the shortcut for quit. Did it work?
Can you do that again real quick?
Yes. The more or less? Sorry.
What is the Q thing? What was the Q thing?
Oh, okay. So if you use more and the name of the file, copy and paste it there, it's gonna, it's gonna show you the content of the file one page at a time. But here, because it's less than a page, it tells you that you reached the end of the file. And then you have to exit out so that you can type more commands. And to do that, you can press together Control and C, and that will exit. But in less and more do the same thing, but to exit, you have to do a different thing, which is not very, that's why I suggest just picking either more and or less and use that. So if you type less, again, shows you the end of the file. To exit, you type the colon, dot, dot, this one, colon, and Q. If I type that, then it quits, meaning it exits out of this file. Okay. All right. Head is, head and tail are also similar. If you type head combine science.txt, it's showing you the top part of the file. Sometimes you just want to see the top part of a file and you don't want to see the entire content. So you can just type head, or you can type head-5, which means that you want to just see the top 5 lines. And you can do that. And it shows the same I love science, but because this file has only 2 lines, so you have already reached the end of the file. The opposite of head is tail. If you want to see the bottom part of the file, you can type tail and then the name of the file, which is the same because the bottom 5 lines or top 5 lines are the same in this case because the file is very small and it has only 2 lines. Okay, I think it's a good place to stop. I'm happy to answer any questions. All good? You can always email me if you have any questions. And I'm going to make the video available to you so you can go over it and let me know if you have any questions. All right.
Yep.
If there are no questions, then I hope you have a good afternoon.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to give me feedback because this is a learning experience for me too. I'm learning how to teach bioinformatics. So your feedback is very valuable for me. Good. Right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Sure.
Thank you.